Welcome to Season 2 of Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and false hope collide nightly, like a Masataka Yoshida ground out to second. We break down every loss, every meltdown, and the occasional win, with sarcasm, facts, and no front office spin. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com, or keep wondering how a wildcard team spent an entire offseason avoiding power hitters. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host tonight, Jim Delfino. That's right, the only Red Sox fan who can watch his team win a series, climb into a playoff position, and still spend Sunday afternoon pacing around the house like Brian Cashman personally stole my Amazon package. Today, I was arguing about Curtis Mead, the Curtis Mead trade online so aggressively that my phone asked whether I wanted to activate Yankees fan mode. I threw it into traffic. Joining me tonight is Nick Face. Nick spent the entire Blue Jays series doing what he does best, talking, yelling, explaining why everybody else is wrong, and then explaining why their apology wasn't sincere enough. Nick doesn't watch baseball. He conducts a 9-inning deposition. By the 5th inning, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was prepared to settle out of court. Joining me tonight is John Martinello. John saw Boston taking 2 out of 3 and immediately began designing the World Series parade route. Saturday's one-hit shutout, apparently that was merely a clerical error. John believes in this team the way a golden retriever believes every car ride ends at the park. And joining me tonight is Thayer Doyle. Thayer is our level-headed educator, which means he watched Toronto's sloppy fundamentals on Sunday and began grading them. Toronto received a D- for situational hitting, an F for defensive awareness, and detention for allowing the Red Sox to score 6 runs while apparently emotionally committing to them on the team bus. Let's get into it. Your Boston Red Sox are now 54-50, sitting third in the American League East, 8 games behind the first-place Tampa Bay Rays and 5 games behind the Yankees. Boston took 2 out of 3 from Toronto, winning Friday 6-4, getting embalmed Saturday 6-0, and responding Sunday with a 6-1 victory. Friday was a classic Red Sox theater. They built the lead, allowed Toronto to tie it, and then escaped with a 6-4 win because apparently winning without triggering cardiac symptoms would violate the franchise charter. Then came Saturday. Dylan Cease threw a complete game one-hitter, struck out 12, and shut Boston out 6-0. One hit, folks. That isn't an offense. That's a hostage leaving proof of life. The Red Sox lineup spent 3 hours waving at baseballs like tourists watching cruise ships leave Boston Harbor. But Sunday, the Red Sox recovered and won 6-1. Ranger Suarez returned from the injured list, gave them 4 solid innings, and the bullpen finished the job. Toronto collected 9 hits, but went just 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position, which is the offensive equivalent of filling your shopping cart and discovering you left your wallet in Ontario. So Boston wins the series, stays in the playoff race, and immediately follows it by trading Connelly Early for Curtis Mead. And I hate this trade. Not because Curtis Mead is a bad player. He's having a good season. He's hitting .254 with a .352 on-base percentage, 17 home runs, and an .856 OPS. Fine. Very nice. Put it on the refrigerator if you need to. But people came at me today saying, Jim, Mead is having a breakout season. Well, how do we know it's a breakout? Why is every good 4-month stretch now automatically a breakout? Sometimes it's a breakout. Sometimes it's a heater. Sometimes a guy finds the barrel for 4 months before pitchers discover he can't hit a breaking ball thrown from Rhode Island. Curtis Mead was designated for assignment by the Chicago White Sox and the end of spring training because he couldn't make the opening day roster. The White Sox. That's like being rejected as a lifeguard for the Titanic. Boston acquired him 3 days later, and for catcher Boston Smith, who wasn't even considered one of Washington's top 30 prospects. 4 months later, the Nationals flipped Mead for Boston for Connelly Early, a 24-year-old controllable starting pitcher who has gone 7-5 with a .344 ERA in 17 starts. Washington bought a scratch lottery ticket at a gas station and sold it to Boston for a lake house. Could Mead continue hitting? Absolutely. Could he become a valuable player? Absolutely. This is what you imbecile fans that came at me today don't understand. When you're trading a young starting pitcher with 6 or more years of club control, You don't pay for what a player has done since April. You pay based on the entire resume, the defensive profile, the position, the track record, and the likelihood that the production lasts. And my biggest problem is simple. Boston should have gotten more. If you love Mead, fine. Get Mead in another prospect. Get Mead in a reliever. Get Mead in Washington's copier. Get Mead and enough sunflower seeds to survive August. Don't trade one of the few young starting pitchers your organization has successfully drafted, developed, and graduated to the majors for a player Washington acquired after he was DFA'd 4 months ago. Because here's the ugly truth. The Boston Red Sox have not consistently developed frontline starting pitching since John Lester and Clay Buchholz. Think about that. Lester debuted in 06. Buchholz debuted in 07. We're approaching 20 years, and Boston's pitching development department has produced roughly the same number of durable frontline starters as a neighborhood Dunkin'. The drought has been acknowledged for years. Lester and Buchholz remain the last clear examples of star-level homegrown Red Sox starters. They finally developed Connelly Early. He reaches the majors. He strikes people out. He posts a 3.44 ERA. He looks like he could settle into the middle of the rotation for years. And then they trade him for a corner infielder who was placed on waivers by Chicago before Easter. That doesn't mean Early becomes an ace. He's currently dealing with elbow inflammation. We all know that. He has a 4.61 FIP, which suggests the ERA may be flattering him somewhat. There is a risk there, but developing pitching is difficult. Acquiring it is expensive. Controllable starters are among the most valuable commodities in baseball. Corner infields are uncertain track records. Those guys become available every deadline like patio furniture in September. So for all you Red Sox fans out there, tonight's question is simply this. Did Boston identify a genuine breakout player before the rest of baseball fully believed in him, or did Washington turn a waiver wire pickup into the exact type of young starting pitcher the Red Sox haven't been capable of developing for 20 years? Because right now, I feel like the Nationals walked into Craig Breslow's office with a Curtis Mead baseball card, convinced him it was a rookie Mickey Mantle, and walked away carrying Boston's pitching future. That's it. I'm done. I want to go over this in a little bit different aspect. We're going to really concentrate all on me today. So, Nick, I'm going to start with you. Your reactions to the trade.
I don't like it either. I was stunned last night. I was actually playing a mean card game with my Nana, and I had my phone off, and it was on silent. And then I picked it up, and then I see Thayer and John going back and forth. I had 37 text messages, I think, missed. So I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, I didn't even go up to the top. I'm like, what are they talking about? And then I'm like, they just traded Connelly Early? I'm like, what? And then I dropped my phone. Still works. But anyways, it was that stunning factor of, like, I'm still in a state of shock. Like, that's Connelly Early you traded for Mr. Mead. I had to do research. I honestly had no idea who he was, truthfully, because I really care about the Red Sox first and foremost. And then I'm looking at his numbers. And then I put out the tweet today with the graphic. Jim, I don't know if you have that tweet that I put out, but what I did was I put his stats up from 2023 to now. And I looked at it and I'm like, you just traded a guy that many of us thought that was the keeper of all the pitchers. That we thought Connelly Early had the highest ceiling because he had the best makeup of what could be a true major league starting pitcher. Granted, he was hurt and everything right now. I think still the makeup and the caliber of who this guy was, I think the sky's the limit. I think the Washington Nationals got a gem of a pitcher back. And in a way, it's kind of like a, ha, 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 ha. Well, Taboni, you traded me Jake Bennett. Well, now I'm going to take Connelly Early. Kind of like a ha, ha, ha kind of thing. The other thing that really irritates the Evan Lovin hell out of me is that, yet again, and I'm going to throw my graphic up that I made because I think it's so perfect. I put it over here. There she is. And I'm going to transform it too here. It is unbelievable how Craig Breslow cannot make a deal with anybody besides his BFFs. It is of control. And I'm supposed to, as a fan and somebody on this pod who tries their best to be as great of a media personality as we can, to have the faith and tell our viewers, yeah, we completely trust Craig Breslow with the deadline. Like, what? He can't make a deal outside of his friend group between Chaim Bloom, Ben Cherington, Paul Taboni, Josh Burns in Arizona. It scares the hell out of me, guys. I don't know about you, but until he makes a deal with, like, I don't, the Rays, or if he makes a deal with the Reds or something along those lines, I'm going to question if he can actually get this job done and build a successful team. It scares the living hell out of me. And we got a week to go before the deadline. And I'm supposed to say, oh, yeah, they're going to go out and get a shortstop, a really legitimate shortstop to go and upgrade this team. Yeah. They're going to go and get a catcher to upgrade. I don't trust it, guys. I don't. This could be it. Curtis Mead. That could be it. And he could fall flat on his face here in Fenway. Much more pressure. He is not good defensively. Do I want to make this sound like the sky is falling? No. I want to see the kid succeed. Of course I want to. I'm still flabbergasted that the Red Sox elected to go with trading Connelly Early for Curtis Mead. It's truly extraordinary. In my opinion, John Lester kind of makeup as well, too. That was the other point I wanted to make. From what we saw, at least earlier, that Bulldog Warrior kind of mentality gave me a little John Lester little vibes right there. So I think the Washington Nationals got a steal here.
John, your reactions to the trade.
Yeah, so I mean, first I just want to say Craig Breslow today, whether you like the trade or you don't, I think everybody's got to appreciate what he said during his press conferences today. I think that he was very well spoken for a change. And then I want to give him credit for whether you like the trade or not. He made a trade a week out from the trade deadline. That's an improvement over last year where he waited until the last 30 minutes to do anything. Now he gives himself the flexibility to kind of evaluate the market, see what other teams are calling him on, evaluate what options he has with other teams. He's just given himself flexibility to go and kind of mold this trade deadline into, to the best of his ability. But yeah, so obviously Red Sox trade Connelly Early, who I love. I wish him nothing but the best. I think that you guys are absolutely right. He's a very good pitcher. He's a young pitcher. He's a controllable pitcher. All things that teams drool over when it comes to trade deadlines. But you also got a player who is having a breakout season, his fourth year in the major leagues. Both guys are going to help both teams. The Nationals needed pitching. We needed hitting. Taboni gets a guy he's familiar with. Breslow gets a guy who's now the second best player on the Red Sox. Breslow, obviously, you see it on the screen here. He obviously viewed Connelly Early and Jake Bennett in the kind of the same sense, in the same area. And obviously, now we know that he gave a slight edge to Jake Bennett. Early was easier to trade. Early kind of, if you want to call it a track record from last year, you can. And obviously Jake Bennett didn't have kind of that, he didn't start pitching in the major leagues until this year. So you have more just of a resume to use when involving these guys in trade conversations. And I think that also Paul Taboni, if this trade goes down in any other way, I think Taboni would really look like an idiot if he were to trade back for Jake Bennett, who he got rid of just a couple of months ago. And as Brad Stevens would say, if you trade for a good player, you're going to need to give up a good player. And I think that's true in this scenario. It's supposed to hurt. If it didn't, you didn't like Early, or you're just upset with it, just going 1-for-1. And that's fair. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I don't think that there's really anything wrong. If you like the trade, there's a why you could like it. If you don't like the trade, there's 100 reasons why you don't have to like it. But the bottom line is this: if Breslow has done anything right since becoming the PBO for the Red Sox, it's been evaluating pitching. As I said, he viewed Bennett as a slight edge to Early, and the Red Sox have a surplus of young left-handed pitching and a stacked pitching pipeline. So it's a gamble, and I agree. I think it's more so of a gamble for the Red Sox, but I'm comfortable gambling away, from a surplus, and especially when you're bringing in something from an area of need.
John, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
Do you think that this is one of those deals? This is going to be for Jim and Thayer too. That this is one of those deals where both teams are winning here, meaning that they're parting with players that are good and they're going to help both teams. One of those kind of things that we talked about earlier, Jim. You had asked that question, I think, a week ago. Making a deal, you don't have to win every deal. Both teams can come to friction and both get something that they both need. Do you feel that that's the case here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, the Red Sox, we've been talking about it since the offseason. And, again, it's another thing that Breslow was short too before the season started. We needed more offense. Everybody knew that. And now he's addressed it. And with a lot of time to figure out, what else this team needs now. But he filled a hole and he dealt from an area of surplus. He talked about it earlier today. He said, trying to find an opportunity to win a trade is not nearly as easy as maybe it would have been at another point. And instead, in this position, I've tried to shift our goal is not to win the trade. Our goal is to make our major league team better. And I agree with him. He made the Boston Red Sox a better team today. Now, do I love what he gave up, making it a 1-for-1? No. Like Nick, you and I have been the biggest, and all of us on here, we've been ginormous Connelly Early fans.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
It stinks getting rid of him, but I have to agree with Breslow here. I think it makes the Red Sox a better team for the rest of the season.
At least right now, definitely.
I'm gonna hold my response till we hear from Thayer. Thayer, your reactions to the trade.
This is a trade that, if it were to happen in January, I think would be phenomenal. If this were a trade that were to happen, say, 3 weeks ago, before we went on that run, I would say this is really Breslow being forward thinking. This is unfortunately, from our standpoint, what the Boston Red Sox are going to be. We came into this trading deadline expecting them to make a move for impactful players. And I'm not saying Mead isn't going to be an impactful player. It's very possible he could be. I think it's very possible, like Nick said, we're looking at, a trade where both teams benefited themselves. I think what is difficult for me to deal with is that I thought Early was the best of the three. I would have much rather dealt Tolle. Now, I absolutely could be wrong. That's absolutely possible. What I'm struggling with is my entire existence, the Boston Red Sox have been a big market team. The Boston Red Sox have been able to take their sort of minor league prospects, that capital, and use it in other places, bring in known commodities, and then pay for other things. I think what this trade shows us is that time has changed. That is not the Red Sox we're going to be seeing any time further. That we've been talking Early, Witherspoon, Arias, throw the three of them in and get a Joe Ryan, get a Bobby Witt, get a superstar in here. The problem with that is all three of the players we talk about require the Red Sox ownership to spend money. They do not need to spend money in this case. They feel that they are getting someone who is cost effective and has the potential that Early does. And that's very possible. So I'm not irate over the trade. What I struggle with is that I just do not trust Craig Breslow. Now, John, I know you're absolutely right. I do think that his ability to sort of evaluate pitching, at least left-handed pitching, has been something of note that we can sort of look at that. I think the Bennett trade in and of itself shows that. I hope he's correct in this situation. What he is doing, I think, and we've been talking about this all year long, what is this year going to be for Breslow? I think this is putting his professional life on the line. That if he goes out and makes 100%. This trade, he's absolutely – John, I completely agree with you. I am pleased with the fact that he is taking the aggression on this one, that he's going out there and he's initiating moves, and he got out there before it's all – he set the market for this kind of play.
Bloom never would have done it.
No, he absolutely would not. So
Ever.
Breslow gets credit for this. He set the market on what power is going to be. And yes, if we're sort of let's get into our sort of business and sort of major aspect of this thing. Pitching is I don't want to say a dime a dozen, but there are a lot of available pitchers on the market. There are not a lot of power hitting right-handed bats, especially cheap power hitting right-handed bats. So he absolutely had to set that market. Credit to him for that. I worry that, along with Jim's introduction, did we just trade for Bobby Dahlbeck? Did the Nationals and Taboni do what the Red Sox should have done after Bobby Dahlbeck had that massive second half?
Mm-hmm.
I so hope that's not the case. I hope that, and then the other aspect of this kid cannot play a lot of defense. He's clearly not going to be a third baseman. Second base, I know I sort of joked about it yesterday that given the time and what's going on in Cooperstown, did we just sort of pick ourselves up Jeff Kent? Because that's what Jeff Kent was known for. He was an atrocious defensive player for the most part. He grew into becoming a relatively decent one, but he was a masher. Did we trade for Bobby Dahlbeck or did we trade for Jeff Kent? That's
2018. One of the traded for Ian Kinsler.
One of the things
I traded for that and it was a disaster. I hope it's not like that.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I have a lot of trouble with, and I posted this today on a couple different tweets, and I got railroaded by all the fair weather fans that I like to call them. These are the ones that see the trades. They don't watch the games. They don't put the effort into learning more about what's going on and everything. They sit there and they just try to find something to rattle feathers with. And it's funny. I don't take offense to any of it because Twitter's not a real life story. But what I try to explain to fans is that I don't have a problem with Curtis Mead. I have a problem that you could have gotten more. And for everybody that says that he is in a breakout year, I said this in the monologue. How do you know that that's a breakout? Wade Boggs in 1987 had 24 home runs, and he never had more than 11 any other season of his career. In 1988, would everybody be saying that Wade Boggs had a breakout season power-wise? Because that's just not the track record for this kid, and that's what concerns me when you look at his statistics. Okay, in 2000,
I'm not impressed with any of these numbers by any means.
No, Nick. In 2023, okay, 83 at bats, 1 home run, a 253 average, an OPS of 675. Okay, You're talking Durbin country. Okay, 2024, 1 home run, 7 RBIs, and 122 at bats, a 238 batting average, of 568 OPS. You're again Caleb Durbin company. The White Sox had a DFA him, 125 at bats, no home runs, 11 RBIs, a 584 OPS. He did not have the track record. And to Thayer's point about Bobby Dahlbeck, again, the difference is Dahlbeck was at least drafted by the Red Sox, and maybe they knew something. This kid has been moved around. No different than, Caleb Durbin. At least Caleb Durbin, in the beginning of the season, we said he's not hitting, but the defense is there. He can play third base, and he's probably one of the best third basemen defensively in baseball. I mean, I'll be the first to admit he's been fantastic, and I don't think I'll get gruff from that from any of the panel. But I worry about this guy. You're going to put him at – Durbin said he would move off third base like hell. He is not
moving
going
anywhere.
not for this kid. And if he's going to play second base, I'm worried you got Edmanuel Valdez all over again. So sure, 17 home runs is great, but don't start telling me that all of a sudden he's figured it out and he's going to be my take here is, could it be that Breslow fleeced Taboni with Jake Bennett and now he's trying to pay him back in a good way to make him whole?
It's like throwing a bone
and like not looking like a schmuck. Because to I think John's point, I don't know who said it, you're not going to give Bennett back. So this is what I wrote. I said the trade of Mead is not the problem here. This all goes back to poor management over the last 5 years. Instead of moving bums like Costas, Campbell, Meyer, and Anthony, and I know I'm getting a lot of heat for that, they held on to them, and they're all busts. So now you have to trade the best pitching this organization has had in decades because of that mismanagement. This is not a Connelly Early mistake. This is not a Curtis Mead mistake.
Management mistake.
Boston Red Sox, Chaim Bloom, Craig Breslow, John Henry mistake. Because you put all your eggs in the Costas, Campbell, Mayer, Anthony basket, and it's empty. The eggs are broken, and now you got to trade what you have, this, what John says, surplus of pitching, only to screw around and get lottery tickets. I'm sorry.
Is this our sixth pitcher we've traded in a year?
I don't know, but I'm telling you right now. Tell me if I'm wrong. John, I'll ask you. It's a lottery ticket as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, listen, the Red Sox are taking on the majority of the risk in this trade. Obviously, Connelly Early this year has had a ginormous home run problem, but that's something that you look at some film, and I don't want to say it's easy to figure out, but it's definitely
can make adjustments.
Easier than sustaining, this type of season that Curtis Mead is having after, again, it's hard to ignore what 23, 24, and 25 were for him because it wasn't pretty at all. I mean, yeah, you're right. 4 months ago, this guy he got DFA'd, and it's because he had no more options, but he did get DFA'd by the White Sox.
And you could have had him for nothing.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, it would have been back then. I don't know what the transaction was for him going to the Nationals, but the Red Sox for Jahmai Jones, who got DFA'd by the Tigers, it was a player to be named later. So I'd assume for the Nationals, it was something along those lines. Yeah, but I don't know. It's my honest reaction is just like, I don't know. You get 25-year-olds. It's a 25-year-old that Red Sox fans haven't really seen at all. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys are watching national games because I know I'm not.
Look, on the cuff, if you look at it in a vacuum, you say to yourself, the Red Sox have a cost-controlled third baseman in Durbin for 5-6 seasons. They have a cost-controlled second baseman now for 5 to 6 seasons. They have Contreras for 3 years. They've got cost-controlled catching, cost-controlled center fielder, cost-controlled right fielder, and if you want Duran, left fielder. Okay? I get all that. That's all well. And I'm the first guy that said on this podcast numerous times that if they're going to make a trade, I want them to go after a guy whose best days are in front of him, not behind him. But I wasn't looking for a scrap heap guy having a career half season. I understand, John. Yeah, he's young. But that's the other part. Where's the track record? Mm-hmm. Look at a guy. Well, I'm almost done. 1 second. Look at a guy like Fernando Tatis Jr. He had a track record. They gave him $300 million, and he's not the same. I know there were PEDs and all that involved, but I just think it's a high risk here. Go ahead there.
Yeah, and we could say this about it in both of them. And I know, John, sort of to your point, you said the Red Sox are taking on the biggest risk. I think the risk is probably the same from both teams. Early, we talked about this last year when they brought up Connelly Early. We're like, who in God's name is Connelly Early? He came out of nowhere. He wasn't anywhere on any of the depth charts. And yes, he performed well. He's got to start in the playoffs. He got to start in the playoffs because we had injured players. So he took on a much greater role. And he started the year. He didn't even start the year with the Red Sox. He came back up and sort of got going. right? Or was it Tolley that came? I forget which one came. But
No,
Early started in the rotation.
Early
was
started
first,
because
then
of
Tolley.
he wasn't supposed to be. He got his opportunity because of injuries, and he's been
Mhm.
pitching well. And
because of Alviedo's injury.
yes, and we could be sort of saying the same thing, that both of these players have really not shown an awful lot. We love Early because we've been able to watch him. The team has sucked, and he's something that we can sort of grab hold of, because we are all sitting here, like to Jim's point, we're talking about Casas, we're talking about Duran, we're talking about Anthony, we're talking about Mayer, we're talking about the fact that we have Narvaez and now he's not anything. We traded Teal. That all of these prospects that we've been talked about, and here they come. They've amounted to nothing. Yet all the ones we never really heard of, suddenly Early is one of those first guys comes up, and we sort of gravitate and grip that as ours. That's something that we love. And they're other than that DFA piece, they're the same kind of guy. They're someone that sort of came up through a system that really wasn't well spoken of. In fact, I think it's kind of the other way around, that Mead actually came in with a little bit more hype. He was a higher pick. So he's someone that is working off of a blistering half season, and so really is Early. And Early is almost kind of going down, and we've talked about this.
Innings load.
The issue, the innings load is coming, so he's not going to have an impact on that team this year really at all. But you're also dealing with injury possibilities. He's already dealing with an arm. Who knows where that's going to go? So from that standpoint, this kind of brings me back to the comment that I made earlier. This is an off-season trade. This is something where you do it off-season to supplement your team and make it better. This move, from Breslow's standpoint, and this is kind of what I'm seeing. We'll talk about this a little bit more in a minute. I think Breslow made this move almost more for 27, 28, 29 than for
Correct.
26.
Yeah, it is because of the cost controllability.
Right. So, and that's kind of, I think, really what's getting to us. The fact that he traded our guy for someone who's not our guy, and that we're going to be taking sort of that emotional risk. And again, if this were Dave Dombrowski making this move, if this were Theo Epstein making this move, I think our feelings and our ideas on this would be totally different. It's the fact that it's Craig Breslow, and Craig Breslow we have zero confidence in that man. And that's the issue.
Of course you don't, because his track record is poor. Look at, again, Quinn Priester. Look at Harrison. Look at Tibbs. So you have him look at a guy like Curtis Mead, and you've got to question that. Nick, I got a question for you. Does this trade for another middle infielder spell the end of Marcelo Mayer? Is he getting traded in next week?
I heard reports that they're going to now put him down to Worcester, because I think the Red Sox don't want to deal him because his value is so low right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the God's honest truth. I think if they do go out and they do trade Marcelo Mayer, I'm going to tell you flat out right now, it's a mistake, because they're not going to get what he could truly be worth. So I personally would hold on, see if he builds something up the second half down in Worcester. Maybe he does something to catch lightning in a bottle and kick his ass in gear and prove that he was the number 4 overall pick and play. That would be a dream scenario for us all. I would not trade Marcelo Mayer right now. I would not, folks. Nope.
John,
you're not going to get what it's worth.
John, are you trading?
Yeah, no, I'm in 100% agreement with Nick here. He's gonna, I think that trading him would be a mistake, just from exactly what Nick said. The value standpoint, he still has value, but it's not nearly what it was. You go back 12 months, especially if you go back 16 months. Obviously, they were never going to trade him. He was an untouchable at that point when he was a prospect. But yeah, Marcelo Mayer was absolutely rushed up to Boston. He came up only because the Red Sox had no depth in the infield last year, and Alex Bregman got hurt. And what was it? 3 hours before a game, Marcelo Mayer got called up to the big leagues. and he hasn't had a chance to breathe. He had his whole offseason, his attitude, I know, rubs people the wrong way. So yeah, the guy needs just, get healthy, go to Worcester, finish the season there, fix some things mechanically when there aren't 100,000 eyes on you every single day. And, we'll come back around in the offseason, see how he's feeling, see how he's looking, see, you have an ample amount of time to see what you can get for him if that's something that you're interested in. And you don't have to worry about him for the rest of 2026.
My next and last question before we do comments, Thayer, I'll start with you. The fact that they're able to bring up Jake Bennett and he's been a breath of fresh air. I mean, I've talked to a couple people. I have said that maybe he might be the better of the three versus Early or Tolley. With that being said, and with Patrick Sandoval now in the rotation, we know that Garrett Crochet is not close. Do you think this is just a trade because of this surplus and because we may have struck gold with Bennett? Or do you think there's maybe another starting pitcher coming in a trade market somewhere?
I laugh because this is absolutely the first salvo in what should be an artillery barrage to improve the team. You can add the idea with Mayer. This doesn't impact him yet because none of them can play shortstop. Once they get a shortstop, like if we were to trade for a shortstop, that's where Mayer goes goodbye. You trade him in that deal, Nick. That's where he goes. I absolutely would bring in another starting pitcher. I would absolutely bring in a bullpen arm. And I think you could probably get away with bringing in, I'd find a shortstop. I would talk to the Astros and bring in Pena because you still have ammunition. That's what
they did. Astros did say he's not available. They're going for it.
Yeah, of course they are. Mm-hmm. But that's what life is. That's how you do these sort of things. That's how you negotiate. So I yes, this should be the first salvo. Is it going to be? This is where I strongly doubt that Breslow can do it. He really has to show me something in this next couple days. If he's setting the tone and setting the market, this has all the makings of bing, bang, boom, let's go. But like I said earlier, this trade itself does seem to be more along the lines of, hey, I have this surplus. I'm going to trade it for now. I'm going to make my team from the standpoint of, I have more pitching than I do hitting better. But am I really making myself better? I don't know. They've been talking about pitching and defense, and you certainly did not improve yourself when you reduced your pitching staff and you brought in a less than capable defensive player. We'll see.
All right, I want to shift over to pitching probables. So we have the Oakland Athletics. The Red Sox are traveling out to California, and Monday, tomorrow, will be a 9:40 start. Will be Tolley against Perkins. Tuesday will be Bennett against Jump, and Wednesday will be Sandoval against Lopez, and Thursday, Sonny Gray, and it looks like to be announced for the A's. So, Nick, I'll start with you. What is your predictions for this series moving forward?
Well, with the Oakland A's, they're at 44-61 right now, so they're not having a very good season whatsoever here. I think I want to be realistic on my expectation here and say that I'm going to be disappointed if they don't take 3 out of 4. I don't know what you guys think on that, but I also think that knowing the situation that the A's are in right now, and they also just lost Shea Langoliers to some sort of injury with his knee. I guess that came out today. So this team is in dismantle mode right now for the A's right now. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say the Red Sox are going to sweep the A's. I'm being bold. I'm daring. I am. I'm going to go with the sweep. I think Tolley will rebound after his struggle that he had in the last start out. Yeah, I know the heartbeat. It's still going for me right now. The only one I really question by any means right now is Sandoval. It's the only one I look at. I think Sonny Gray will be totally fine, almost in a way rejuvenated, going back to playing his old team, the A's. I think he's going to try and really show a lot of emotion that game and be back to the Sonny Gray that we know for the season. So I'm going to go with the sweep. The Sandoval one scares me, but outside of that, I think I feel okay with it.
Thayer?
I say 3 or 4. I think they're going to probably lose the Sandoval one, Nick. I'm with you with that one. But I think, and again, back to it, what we saw today leads me to believe that, if nothing else, the trading of Early did not diminish the overall feeling of the team. That they came out, they played hard. I think that they're looking at this as they are bringing in something for us. So I think the team is on a winning streak. I think they're feeling positive. That the A's are currently not. They are going to trade somebody, if not more than one player, in the next couple of days. So the team that we may see tomorrow is probably not going to be the same team we see Thursday. So there's a very good chance that the A's emotionally will be completely devoid of any interest in these sort of things. So I would say 3 or 4, simply because they still are major leaguers, and it's really difficult, even at this level, to take 4 games from somebody at their home park.
Yeah. I'm going with 3 out of 4 as well. Again, I feel confident in the Tolley, Bennett, and Gray starts. Same with you guys. The Sandoval one worries me. We'll see how it goes, but you got to minimally split. I mean, I think if you do split, you're okay, but you shouldn't. You should win 3 out of 4. John?
Yeah, I think it's 3 out of 4. Again, Patrick Sandoval's been iffy. Obviously, he hasn't shown anything that's surprised any of us to this point. It's been a pitcher that it's coming off TJ, and the velocity's there, but the command isn't necessarily there. But yeah, no, 3 out of 4 sounds like something they should do. Sweeping another series would be awesome. 2 out of 2, you kind of live with it, but then you're really hoping that you take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, who are next after the Athletics. But yeah, I'll stick right in the middle. 3 out of 4, really good with me. I think that Tolley is going to dominate. I think Jake Bennett's going to dominate. Patrick Sandoval, same thing with you guys. Nervous about it. I really want him to at least get 5 innings, qualify for a win, or I guess a loss. But and then Sonny Gray, his game 2 of this series obviously didn't have his best stuff. I'm not too concerned about it whatsoever. It was 2 outs in the 3rd inning, and then he gave up all those runs. It all just wheels fell off, but he was still able to pitch after that, and he pitched effectively after that. So not concerned about what Sonny Gray did against the Blue Jays. 3 out of 4.
Yeah, you got to try to get 3 out of 4. Hopefully you're going to sweep, because I don't have a lot of confidence in that Dodgers series, but we'll see how it goes. Time for comments. Let's see what we got up on tap for today. So Becky says, hi. What is this? This is our show. Jules says he hates the trade. Again, I'm not a big fan of it. As I mentioned, as we've gone along tonight, hate the Tolley lovers, the under the hood pods. Look, I like Tolley, but I just think that Early and Bennett are more complete pitchers. I don't know what you guys think on that. Tom always says I think somebody from us wrote, I would personally prefer they trade Tolley there. I don't know if you wrote that, or Bayo. I would get rid of Bayo too, but I just don't know that there's much of a market for him. We'll see when it goes along. Totally agree. Mick says Breslow desperate to make a deal, to say he made a deal. We basically got another utility guy. This is my fear. The Red Sox love me some middle infielders. They always have. Murph says someone needs to take the car keys away from Breslow. Yeah, if this blows up in his face, I don't know how you make of that. Jules says Tolley has little value. You
I
guys,
disagree on that.
I don't know what he quite means. Maybe he needs a little bit more of an explanation on that. But I really
need to watch a Red Sox game. I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't know sure what his angle is. Something changed with this guy Mead. He will not disappoint. He hits elite pitching. Okay, look, I'm not rooting against the guy, but I want him to come in and
let the bat do the talking. That's
like
what we need to see here.
Like Thayer said, let him be Jeff Kent, but Willie is the question. That's what I worry about.
He's got a great ballpark to have his shit, get our first impressions of him.
That I agree with 100%. I agree with that. Yep.
Just don't play Sweet Caroline in the 8th inning if they're losing, because he doesn't like that.
Mm-hmm. Breslow has make him mad, and then you get better production. So
I think he's growing a fan base out of not liking that song.
Yeah, that's true. Breslow has no social skills. That's why he has to make feels only with guys he knows. That's just it. The guy can't seem to trade with anybody but his, Nick has said this over and over and over again. He's got his whoobies, and that's it. Get more John from Preller. John, what do you think? You got a chance for him?
If Preller's going to sell, which he never has in his time as a GM, I would. Oh my God, Adrian Morejon. You throw him in the 7th or 8th inning, you're not losing that game if you're ahead. So yeah, absolutely, I would go and get him if he's available.
San Diego's bullpen for the last couple of years has just been an absolute monster. They are monsters. Yeah. Murph says Frozen Nick is not the droid we're looking for.
Yeah.
Nat still wanted Early over Tolley because they played us a month ago. Early 4 scoreless, Tolley lit for 6 and 3 innings. I mean, maybe. I don't know if that might be what they were looking for, but we'll see. Let's see. Murph also says Breslow is hiding behind the 1-for-1 statement. It could be. I think there's something to be said where he's probably throwing to Boney a bone, no pun intended, because he stole Bennett. Take down those stupid metrics. Listen, John had him. I put him up there, and that's just what it is. Mead doesn't reach 25 home runs. I don't know if anybody is going to reach 25 home runs with this team except for Contreras, I guess. Anthony says, "Who the cluck is Curtis Mead?" Yeah, I know. This made physical sense. We could have had Pena. That would have been the guy I would have targeted, either him or Abrams. But Jules says, "There, you're not wrong." Anthony says, undrafted from New Zealand, 4th team in less than 3 years. Tampa got rid of him. Yeah, you have to question when Tampa gets rid of somebody because they love these kind of guys. And, I really don't know. He says, I love Connelly Early, but unfortunately he was drafted by Chaim Bloom. That's a good point. Like, it seems like the Red Sox want to just get rid of everything Chaim Bloom except for Trevor Story and Yoshida at this point.
Because they can't get rid of them.
I know. Who was playing shortstop?
That's an excellent question.
No,
Andrew Monasterio. Andrew Monasterio.
Hey, don't crap on him. He's been
swinging the bat
the past 2 weeks. The dude's been raking.
Yep. Anthony says, fire Craig Breslow immediately. I can't take any more of this. I've had enough too. The WRC plus crew. That's not me. I don't even know what the hell half of that means. Jim, those fans look at Fangraphs, not Sox games. That's just what it is. Too many of these young guys now are just looking at stats and looking at graphs, and they don't even watch the game. It's like if you tell anybody that you can see a guy can't play or you're using the eyeball test, it's like calling someone a slur at this point. Mead is Duran 1 year and never duplicated. Well, there you go. Romy for what? Shortstop? Or are you just asking what's going to happen to the guy?
He'll be in a platoon role.
Yeah,
maybe you give Contreras
DH
a day off.
Maybe a little. He could have a little. He could have a little DH time too, John. Right?
DH with Yoshida.
Michael says Mead is not proven. He's not. We went over it. He's had one good half flash in the pan season. This was what worries me. Anthony says he just said he was now out 2 best players. I quote verbatim. Yeah, look,
He is.
yeah, he's not wrong. The same logic you're using with me can be applied to Early too. He's had 2 good months, and his FIP indicates a ton of regression. So this has been some of the arguments I've seen on Twitter. But again, Thayer talked about this too. It's all about load management. I mean, he's fatiguing. He's never been in these echelons of innings pitched. You're going to start seeing some fatigue from pitchers, especially young guys. So you're going to expect that. It doesn't necessarily
these
need
fans understand that Curtis Mead debuted in 2023. Come on.
I just don't understand the fans that are crapping over Connelly Early now. It didn't matter. He sucks anyway. We got a freaking stud. How do you know? I can't believe the amount of people on Twitter today that are just effing Connelly Early like he's a bum. I just don't understand.
It's the same people that applaud Jaron Duran for hitting a $190. Oh, he's fast. He's fast. He's real good.
Yeah, Tyler says one of those. Everyone making decisions in sport is one of those now, friend. Go yell at a cloud if you don't like it. Look, brother, I'm just telling you that, you can't just look at, all these nerd stats and know what a guy's going to be. One guy said to me today, well, David Ortiz was DFA'd. No, he wasn't. JD Martinez was DFA'd. He's the only one that was on that list. Go look it up on my Twitter account.
I actually yelled at a cloud today, Jim. Did you know about this? Did I tell you that story?
No.
And then I spit on it and I called it Tyler.
Yeah, but he says treating talented young left-handed pitching or any talented young pitching for undrafted utility guys on their 4th team in 3 years, and they got a fade earlier this year is bad business, brother. There's no question. Like I said, if you got Mead for, I don't know, Justin Slayton, I'll be like, all right, take a flyer on the kid. Maybe he's figured it out. But you're not giving away Justin Slayton here. You're giving away a middle of the rotation, maybe a number 2 starter. I don't know. Jules says, what's his X flipping BABIP and WRC plus? John, do you have those on top of your head?
I could get them right now.
I was just going to let out a fight.
That's what I think
of that.
I don't think he was serious. Anthony says Connelly Early was definitely in the starting rotation. Yeah, he was because Johan, what was his name? Oviedo.
Flores didn't start the season. He started on the injured list, right?
Yeah, and Oviedo was hurt too afterwards.
Yep.
Maybe the Red Sox mishandled them and didn't develop them properly. I agree with you. I think the Nats got all clear on Early's elbow. They wouldn't
have made the deal if it didn't happen.
Yeah. When do we give Breslow more leash? All the guys he brought in are producing. No. Are they all?
The professionals are. The Contrerases, the Grays, those guys are. The non, like if you go back to last year, we traded for May and he did not work out whatsoever.
Nope.
You got rid of Devers and you brought in 4 guys. None of the guys that you brought in were worth a damn for the team. You traded Tibbs away for May. Tibbs is actually producing somewhere. Mm-hmm. You got Harrison. Didn't like what he was doing. Traded Harrison for Durbin. Maybe Durbin works out, but Harrison seems to be pretty good. You got Priester and you traded him away.
Yeah,
so the sure things have worked out. Yes, absolutely. Gray and Contreras and Chapman, those guys have absolutely worked out. Without question, it's the other ones that aren't.
One of my followers, Matty V, says Breslow. He had his tweet. It was really good. Breslow's very good with guys 30 and over.
Yeah.
Because there's
as are most general managers.
Yeah,
but I think that the leash that is being asked about here, I think he's getting the leash right now that he's able to handle this trade deadline on his own. I think that if this run doesn't happen that they went on, he doesn't get to make these decisions right now. Yeah. I think that it's more of a group effort, more rather than him identifying what he wants. And I'm sure people are still helping him, but I think that he's not allowed to have final say in anything if the team's not where they're at right now.
Anthony says Marcelo Mera is never going to work in Boston. He's too laid back. He's just the guy from Entourage. He looks like him and acts like him. He needs to go to California where he belongs. You should be trying to get Mike Trout. I would have no problem moving Marcelo Mayer to a California team. He needs to be out there. Let him be at his roots. Boston is not for him.
Bro.
Yep. Jules says, yeah, that's why Major League Baseball sucks and pre-StatCast friend, but you're probably under 35. Well, John is a little bit on the younger side, but that's what makes us good. That's what makes us good. You got Thayer and I are the oldies here.
I'm insulted by that because
Nick's in the middle.
He left me out of that. So clearly I need to wear more makeup before the shows begin.
Yeah. Thayer and I are the oldest ones, and then Nick's in the middle and John's the young. So we get good perspective from everybody here, which is good. This is a make or break deadline for Bresbot. There's no question. We'll see how it finishes off. JT Gin for Depth Detmars. They could trade for Reed Detmars. Why couldn't they get him? Kurtz is back. Is he healthy again? Is he back? Has he been activated?
Yeah, pretty sure that he homered today.
I was going to say for the last one was because Breslow's not friends with their GM. That's why you won't get him.
Yeah, that's another thing.
They don't sleep in the same beds together. Oh, did I say that out loud? Sorry.
Gage jumping Tommy Tanks White from LSU.
I'm excited to see Donnie White or whatever his name is. Tommy White.
Big John says, great show, guys. Thanks, John. All the Red Sox propaganda was in prep for this deal. Then they use what Durbin said to build up Breslow. I don't like that. I hope Mead works out, but don't hold your breath. Yeah, I'm 100% on that. I am worried. When do we give Breslow a leash? That came up again. And same things again. We just had repeats. Being a part of the 2025 White Sox concerns me. TD 1211. Is that you, Thayer? Sup, fellas? I don't know if that's you. Am I the only one? Huh?
Somebody else. Not me.
Oh, okay. Am I the only one who likes this trade and think that it's the most fair trade I've seen in a long time? I don't mind. I said it before. I don't mind acquiring the player. I think he gave up too much. That's my biggest issue. To me, this trade comes to one thing: Franklin Arias in September. I don't think he's not being brought up. They're not going to do that to another guy.
They can't.
I don't see it.
Can't after this shitstorm that we've gone through with the kids. Nope.
Yeah.
I want him down there for a bare minimum of at least. I said 2 years, jokingly, but
yeah, you can't bring him up into a playoff run to be
the. No,
he's a June, July guy for next year.
Yes,
that I would agree with. Anthony says, "Yeah, how's the nerd stuff been working out the past 7 years? It hasn't. That's been my biggest bone of contention. None of this nerd stuff has worked out because the Red Sox have not done very well. You have 2 playoff appearances, but you're out right away, and the rest of the years have been terrible. So 20, 22, 23, 24, they've all been terrible. You know, Driveline. You fire Driveline, and all of a sudden guys can learn how to hit again. Sale for Grissom vibes. Ooh, I hope not. That's a scary thought. Breslow comment about him being good with guys over 30 and over sounds like something you would put some. Anthony, you kill me. Glad I wasn't the only one who saw the resemblance. And Jules says my comments were for a commenter, not for John. Okay, no problem. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight. Anybody got any last minute things that they want to mention? Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
Can you go back to what was that button we were just on for the side for a second? Because I want to do a shout out for the team for the weekend. There we go. We sacked up this weekend, folks. We sure did. We sacked up 3 today in the game. 3. I don't know about you guys, but I find it a refreshing style that Chad Tracy has implemented with the team, with sacrificing and small ball and doing the little things that matter. It's resulted in winning baseball, and I hope to see more of it. You don't have to just jack the ball out of the yard 24/7. If you can do those little things and play station-to-station baseball, you're going to have a winning formula. And I hope that this sticks with this team because I feel like players are buying into this system now. They're buying in. They're seeing the result. They understand that they're playing team baseball, and it's getting them wins.
Yeah, no, 3 sack bunts today. The batter, after those sack bunts, every single time, drove runners in. Narvaez had 2 sack bunts. Carlos Narvaez had the 2 sack bunts. Romy Gonzalez had another. Just again, they are the number 1 small ball team in baseball over the past month and a half now.
I love it. I love it.
It's so much fun to watch, and especially just because like when Cora was here, guys would try to bunt. They obviously didn't work on it, and it was very evident.
Cora refused to do it. I'm convinced 100%.
He tried every once in a while, like when it was like you have to bunt here, they would try it, but nobody would get a bunt down, and then it's just so refreshing, Nick, as you said, seeing guys put it down. This was the first time since 2021 that they had 3 sack bunts in a game. Just it's awesome, and what I like the most about it is like Narvaez did it twice. These guys want to win baseball games now. They're very bought into what Chad Tracy has, his philosophies that he brings along with being the interim manager, and these guys don't care, or maybe they're just swallowing the ego a little bit, and they just want to play winning baseball. So it's again just super refreshing to watch.
Last one of the last ones I had on here too. One of the comments, TD just said, "Fellas, Franklin Arias has been promoted 2 times. He's the best shortstop in the major leagues who is not in the majors." You know what I would do? See, this is where I would have taken a guy like Connelly Early. I would have taken Arias and maybe 1 or 2 more pieces, whoever they are, and I would have went out and tried to get Bobby Witt Jr. That would be the type of impact move that I would do, and it would solve a lot for Kansas City. You know, they put this big money contract out on Witt. They're in last place. They might want to rebuild. You give them 2 big pieces in Early and Arias, maybe 2 other guys. Maybe you could do something there. This is why I just think you could have gotten more for guys like Connelly Early. That's the bottom line.
The problem is, Jim, they do not want to spend the money for those players.
I know. I understand it.
Which is why I don't think this – and yes, question. I don't think we're going to see another major move. I think we might get another starting pitcher, and it's probably going to be along those lines of, you know, the second-tier guy, the
reclamation project,
you know, that kind of thing. Maybe you're going to see a potential middle reliever come in, but we're not going to get that the big play. We're not going to get any of that stuff.
No, I'm waiting for Rich Hill to come back. I don't know about you.
That's sort of
It's kind of ridiculous that he's not here yet.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be shocked if somehow Toldy gets sent out for another like middle reliever kind of starting pitcher guy. I wouldn't be shocked at all if there's another one of these sort of deals where instead of trading the Durans and the Mayers and those surpluses of garbage, you know, that you can sort of add into something and open up spaces. They're not opening up spaces. This play didn't open up a space.
No, it did not.
That's the issue. You still have the logjam of loser lefties all over the place.
Yep. Well, we'll see how it works out. Just some housekeeping stuff. The late night games, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we probably will not have a show during the week. We might do one on Wednesday just to have like a midweek type of thing. If there is some kind of major trade that happens or even a minor trade, we'll definitely do a show between now and Thursday. But other than that, we may do something Wednesday, even if nothing happens. And then, of course, I think we said Monday. So, but we'll keep you on the loop on Twitter on how that goes. So with that being said, I'd like to thank Nick, Thayer, and John for being on. Please go to RedSoxDigest.com, register for a free account. Go ahead and donate to our cause if you'd like. And if you don't, just reconsider it anyway.
We're going to start hunting people down that don't. I forgot to mention that on the last show. We're going to come at you with the bats and demand it because we put a lot of effort in and you people don't do enough. So let's go.
100% of proceeds goes to John's new hats. So
that's right.
Yeah. And also buy the Martinello Minute shirts. We're trying to get those up too. So if you don't have a Martinello Minute shirt, you got to definitely get one. And
we're about to be 4.5 games behind the Yankees, fellas.
Yeah, and wear it to Fenway Park. If you wear a Martinello, here we go. That's what I'm going to do. If you buy a Martinello Minute shirt between now and the end of the season, take a picture of yourself at Fenway Park and send it to us. I'll enter you in for a prize. I don't know what it is, but it'll be good. Maybe.
And the shirt has to stay on.
Maybe
No more of
MLB.
this
Yeah.
tarps off.
I prefer the
BS.
shirt off.
Oh, you want
MLB
it
The
off?
Show
If
27.
that's the way you float, I'm out of here.
Well, the first
MLB
5 innings on, last 4 innings tarps off, and I will.
We'll raffle
I
off
don't
an
know. We'll figure something out.
get a Martinello Minute shirt, order it off our website now, wear it at Fenway Park, take a picture of it, and you'll be entered to win MLB The Show 27. You heard it here first. Have a good night, everybody.
Compliments of the